Hello, Repony, and welcome to the second My Little Pony What Works lightning round. Same thing applies as last year. Quick reviews of 5 episodes of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic without in-depth analysis unless it calls for it. Just my immediate thoughts. So with that out of the way, let's start off with Pinkie Pride. Amy Keating Rogers writing a Pinkie Pie episode starring Weird Al Yankovic. This exudes comic brilliance. A new party pony comes to town, played by Weird Al Yankovic, and he promises to throw an epic party for Rainbow Dash's birth anniversary. She moved to Ponyville on the same day as her own birthday, go figure. However, Pinkie Pie sees this newcomer as her permanent replacement, since she was originally in charge of planning Dash's party, and looks to challenge the newcomer to see who will get the opportunity to make Rainbow Dash's party epic. Actually, epic is probably the best way to describe this episode. Right off the bat, this episode was going to be downright hilarious with just the concept alone. Pinkie Pie and Weird Al try to out-goof each other. I Can Die a Happy Stallion. Easily the funniest part of the episode, as well as the best song, was the goof-off. Essentially, Pinkie Pie and Cheese Sandwich try to one-up each other during the entire bout by trying to be more and more silly throughout the competition to the point where Cheese Sandwich sings a polka version of the Smile song. But I think what shines even above the comedy was the development of Pinkie Pie's character, as well as showing how her character has an effect on others. I feel Pinkie Pie's key reveal was done the best. While Rarity's realization was good, it had pacing issues due to the unsurety of time past. Rainbow's realization was so lazily written, I thought I was watching something along the lines of the Princess Promenade. Pinkie's realization was done early enough and believable enough to demonstrate Pinkie had learned about letting her pride get the better of her and properly challenging the element of harmony. As for the latter, we see that Cheese Sandwich was influenced by one of Pinkie's parties when he ran away to Ponyville. When he experienced the party, it inspired him to be more like Pinkie Pie and make other ponies happy as well. Huh, Pinkie Pie having aspiring traits. Where have I heard that before? This episode is the perfect example of why Pinkie Pie is still best pony. 4 stars. Simple Ways. Oh jeez. After reading the synopsis and hearing tweets about this particular episode, it had me worried. There were 2 ways this episode would have ended up. Either with gut-busting hilarity, or with face-palming stupidity. Turns out a little bit of both, but leaning more to the gut-busting hilarity. Rarity's put in charge of Ponyville's founding festival and going for something of a small-town chic in order to win the affections of Trenderhoof, the pony who knows what's going to be popular before it becomes popular. Hipster! However, Trend apparently has the eye for some pony else. That some pony being Applejack. So throughout the episode, Rarity's trying to win over Trenderhoof by trying to get involved in the farm life where she clearly doesn't know what she's doing, to the point where she becomes a southern stereotype. Let me tell you, this was absolutely hilarious. I am a huge fan of the camp and the over-the-top, hence why I enjoy episodes such as Power Ponies or Hearts and Hooves Day. These are episodes you take with a grain of salt. They're not to be taken too seriously, but have a good connecting moral. Simple Ways is no exception. While this type of story has been done plenty of times in other media, it doesn't make it a poorly told story. In fact, the moment when Applejack started to act like an exaggerated version of Rarity, I could see that Josh Haber was working on showing a little bit of humility without coming across as vindictive, and it sometimes takes a friend to show how shallow and stupid they were acting. Wait, Josh Haber displayed humility without being vindictive. Did he just fix Mysterious Mare-to-Well? Okay, I think I found Haber's hidden talent for subtly fixing episodes from season past while still being his own stories. I give Simple Ways 3 stars. And while you're at it, Mr. Haber, can you go ahead and fix Spike at your service, Dragon Quest, Ghostbusters, putting your hoof down over a barrel of burn the hoof, cutie pox? Filli Vanilli. Heh, cute title. Fluttershy had shown to have a beautiful singing voice, but no one has heard her sing solo before, at least from the main 6. But that's beside the point. When the pony tones are down a singer, Rarity asked Fluttershy to fill in. But because of her stage fright, she will lip-sync for the sore-throated Big Mac? Okay, before we get to the focus character, we should talk about the 2 elephants in the room. First, Pinkie Pie. I don't believe she's out of character, but this part of her character is something I really don't like, and it needs work. I'll just leave it at that. Second, why? Why would you reference worst episode? Do you realize you made the poison joke make even less sense in canon? If you saw Tommy Oliver's analysis, you know how he reacted. With me, it was the opposite emotion. It went something along the lines of, wait a minute. They're not. There is no way they're going to. Holy shit, they are. And it was awful. But enough about Pinkie Pie and worst episode. We're here to talk about Fluttershy and the same lesson she learned in Hurricane Fluttershy. You see, Fluttershy is learning a similar lesson to that of Hurricane Fluttershy. It's the best night ever, three's a crowd situation. Similar moral, different context. While Hurricane Fluttershy was about the smallest contribution can make the bigger difference while Fluttershy learns to conquer her fears, Filli Vanilli was about not letting your fears interfere with the things you love to do. That's a well-deserving moral, and makes up for Pinkie Pie's actions as well as mentioning worst episode. I give it 3 stars. Twilight Time. Is it me, or is almost every episode on my wish list being answered? First the Daring Do episode, then the confirmation of the Equestria Games, followed by the world-building episode in Manhattan, and now Twilight acting as an educator to the Kingdom Crusaders. I mean, it's not the student becomes the teacher I envisioned, but I'll take what I can get. Now, stop me if you heard this before. The Kingdom Crusaders being associated with Princess Twilight are now getting attention. Will you let me finish? Anyways, the Kingdom Crusaders are now getting positive attention from their classmates, especially Diamond Tiara and Silver Spoon, because of the girls' weekly sessions with Twilight. They in turn use it to their advantage, getting pampered by all their classmates. But how far can they keep this going until Twilight finds out? Now, at first glance, the story seems like it's been done a million times before, with the getting attention and then leading to the misunderstanding at the end. However, My Little Pony manages to once again make the story feel fresh. Why? Well, the Kingdom Crusaders realize a little over halfway through the episode that they made a mistake accepting the favors, realizing they become Diamond Tiara and Psychic. I like that name, KP. They even try to explain themselves to Twilight before everything got out of hand at the end. Speaking of Twilight, it seems a little bit of Celestia has rubbed off on the new Alicorn, taking charge and scoping out the whole situation when it got out of hand. It actually reminds me a little bit of Lesson 0 when Celestia came to Ponyville to fix Twilight's mess. Overall, this episode was cute. Not my favorite Kingdom Crusader episode, but definitely in the top 3. I give it 3.5 stars out of 4. It ain't easy being Breezies. A G3 character being featured in G4. Yeah, this'll end well. Ponyville gets a chance to help the Breezies along in their journey home. However, a stray leaf separates a small portion of the fairy-like creatures, and Fluttershy takes action to rescue the group. Soon, however, she begins to wonder how long she can help them when she finds herself answering to the tiny creatures' every whim. Okay, time for in-depth analysis, or rather, rebuttal to statements that have been said against this episode. So far, I've heard nothing but negative stuff coming from this episode. So now it's time to dash those criticisms, and yes, I'm directly taking Tommy Oliver's concerns from Tumblr. First, if the Breezies live in an alternate dimension, why are they dependent on a species from an alternate dimension for their magic to work? Why are they dependent on a pollen from an alternate dimension? What do they need it for? Well, apparently the pollen is useful to them, and only them. And really, the pollen is just a MacGuffin, a motivating plot element in a story that is used to drive the plot and possibly distract you while you try to figure out its significance. What the pollen does and the things revolving around it don't matter in the slightest. What does matter is that it's necessary they get it to the portal to their home. Also, think of it as commensalism with two creatures where one benefits without affecting the other. Second, if the breeze is what somehow keeps their magic working to keep their pollen from going bad, why didn't the breezes that stayed at Fluttershy's house pollen go bad after being out of the breeze for so long? If it did, they'd have no reason to use the breeze to get back to their home. And if it didn't, the entire concept of riding the breeze is pointless to begin with, as the breezes were flying under their own power the entire episode. Well, maybe the breeze gives a long-lasting effect on the pollen, and even if the pollen went bad, they still have to get home before the portal closes, so riding the breeze home makes sense. However, you don't want the current to be too fast, otherwise you have the breezes flying in their own version of turbulence. Finally, Twilight just has a breezy transformation spell because the plot says so? Well, maybe it's a subsection of that bat transformation spell. All you need are ponies and a creature reference, and boom, instant breezy. And be glad this is a spell that Twilight used that actually didn't backfire. Honestly, this was a good episode, if a little bit on the boring side. The design of the Breezies were cute, Seabreeze was a badass, and Fluttershy got a much-deserved key learning not to let your kindness hinder others. I give it 3 stars. Well, that's it for the lightning round. Thank you all for coming, and holy crap, is that 9,000 subs? Well, better think of something to do for this occasion. Until then, I'm the voice of reason, and I'll see you next time.